Okay, you can go ahead and start lifting the car up higher. Alright, so we are a lot higher now. I had to go back and forth quite a few times to get the car up safely. Taking a look at the dual caliper bracket, you might want to be wondering where it actually goes onto the vehicle. It does sit like this, so that the other caliper sits on the inside. And what you do with this is you actually delete your inside parking brake, rather if it's manual or electric. This one's manual. The back is all the same between 2009 to 2014, but the 2011, I think it started, or maybe 2010, has the electronic parking brake where like the module sits above the subframe. If you want to do this, you will have to disconnect the cables, and that's going to render that useless. So if you like your electronic parking brake, this might not be the mod for you. So basically with your dual caliper bracket, once you delete your parking brake system, this actually bolts in between the hub and the spindle, so that it does poke it out by like ½ inch, which isn't really terrible, but you do gain another caliper on the back, so that's going to be pretty sick just to see 2 calipers back here. Now we are in the same exact place as the other side. I believe we're ready to drop the back section of the exhaust. Okay, so being underneath the car now, as we can see, the back half of the exhaust will need to come off. I'm gonna go try to take those 2 bolts out, and then there's the hangers on the sides I'm gonna go ahead and pull out. Okay, so once you get one of your exhausts down, you can do the other side as well. I'm just going to show you guys for this side. We do have our e-brake cable right here, which we could basically unbolt from the spindle and then loop it up and like zip tie it up here or something just to get it out of the way. It's completely up to you what you want to do with that. You could technically leave it in the hub, but I'm a little sketchy about that. I don't really want the wire sticking out into the hub, just because I don't want it interfering with anything, so I am probably going to zip tie it back up here somewhere. But we do have to take this little side bracket brace off as well, so that's what I'm going to do now. And it might be a good idea to drain the differential while it's in the car. On the drive shaft, these ones on the drive shaft as well, the 3 bolts that hold the drive shaft to the bushing, is giving me trouble. I think they're reverse threaded. I'll have to do more research on that, but for now, just to drop the differential out of the car, I'm just going to take these ones out that are facing towards the differential, because I think I can get these 3 out without having to worry about them being reverse threaded, because I got that one out already. But these other 3, I believe, are reverse threaded. I don't want to strip them. I do have to change this bushing, but I think it'd be easier once the differential's out of the car to access it from the back to get my impact up in there straight, versus using like a universal, which they do work, but in this situation, since my exhaust is in the way and the drive shaft is in the way, I think it'd be easier to get a socket on the side, and if I can line the impact up straight where the differential is, it'd be a lot easier. So that's what I'm going to do, those 3 bolts, and I'll work on taking out the mounting bolts on the back. So I just bent this wire, parking brake wire, out of the way. That way I can kind of get like a better access shot to that sets that bolt out. So a good breaker bar is always nice. If your impact isn't doing it, and it's just going hard on it, stop. You don't want to break the bolt. Just try to break out the breaker bar and see if you can, manhandle it a little bit, and hopefully that works out for you. So the back ones are going to be a little bit more tricky to get to since the coupe doesn't really have the trunk space that the sedan has, so it does block it a little bit. I'm going to attempt to use a breaker bar first and just break the back ones loose. If not, I have another idea how we might be able to do it, but let's see what happens. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with the coupe not having as much trunk space as the sedan, especially with the sway wiring right here. There's really no way of getting a sock or a wrench on there or a breaker bar or impact. Now, it's kind of weird because the coupe only uses one bolt right here. This one is unused on the coupe, and it doesn't even have a bushing on their subframe. The sedan does use it, and Hyundai was thinking about this for the coupe aspect. Maybe it was like an afterthought, but right up inside of here, let's see if I can zoom in, turn the light on. There is a plug that lines up perfectly with the socket, although as you see on the other side, there is nothing for the second bolt. So what we're gonna have to do is pop this cap off. That'll give us access to this one, and then we'll measure over to this bolt, and we'll have to create an access hole right here so that we can access that one and put a grommet in like this one. That way, moisture and everything doesn't get in there or rust it, but it'll give us direct access. We can hit this straight on, and that should allow us to take these two bolts out. Now, something cool that I haven't really showed off in the group or on my channel here is that I actually do have two batteries and a fire extinguisher, just in case. But the dual battery system, I fabricated a little mounting bracket for and wired these in, I believe, parallel. So it's still 12 volts, but they have a very high cold crank and amp hour lifespan on top of these. Now it's negative to negative, positive to positive, and each bank, so ground on this side, positive on that side, is being used, so it actually creates a cycle, which is what you want to do versus just hooking it on one side battery only and just having it looped. This way it forces the cells to go in a circular pattern when it's charging and discharging. It creates a better lifespan for the batteries as well. I do have my little caps and everything on here as well. It looks a little convoluted. My amp wiring is stored here, and did take a little bit of modification. You also might notice my plywood liner on the bottom right here. That's just to stop it from like caving in when I have a whole bunch of heavy stuff in my trunk. But yeah, anyway, getting back to the topic, if we zoom in right over here, you see that that's the patch right there, or the grommet I should say, and then over to the right there is no grommet. So we will need to take this grommet out, which be easier two hands, so I'll do that myself. And then I'm gonna measure out the distance on the bottom between that bolt and the other bolt, and then I'll go ahead and just use a drill bit, step bit, just big enough to get the socket through, and then I'll source out a grommet to put in there so that stop moisture from getting in and whatnot, just to keep it nice. Okay, and just like that, we have another access hole. Is it as clean? No. I will have to do some actual cleaning in here to get all those metal shavings out, use like a sponge. But yeah, now we can go and see about getting these bolts loose. What we're going to do is we're going to push these axles in to try to basically break them free, so that when the differential is dropping down, it pulls both axle out. We did this so we didn't have to take apart all these other arms because it's kind of a pain, but once we get the axles out, we can go ahead and take these 4 bolts out if you're going to do the dual caliper. If not, if you're just doing the LSD swap, then you just need to swap the axles for the 3.8 sedan ones. So I personally actually did save my stock lug nuts when I upgraded to my aftermarket wheels. The reason for this is because they're straight through, so it makes it really nice when you use this tool. right here. You need 4 of them, I guess, but this allows you to sink them all the way down to really tighten down the driver onto the hub that aligns it with the axle to push it out. So that's what I'm using these for. You can also pick them up pretty cheap. I think they're like $3-4 at any hardware store each. But I'm gonna go ahead and start over here, get these guys on there, just like this. Now we have this on here, I was right. It is 3 lug nuts. It does have a 4th hole if your hub has like a 6 spline, but for me, being a 5 bolt, it only needs 3 lug nuts. So go ahead and just loosely get these down and align the pin right here with the axle. Alright, so we got the axle pushed in. On this side, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the other side. This tool makes it way easier than trying to use like the lug nut or the axle nut on top of there and hitting it with a hammer, because you risk like mushrooming it out. Not that you're going to have to use these axles anyway, but still, if it mushrooms out, it's just going to make it harder to get out. So with much finagling, I have landed on this situation where I unbolted the 2 lower control arms and the upper ball joint out of the way so that I can actually like pull the spindle, and I was able to get this axle out, but obviously it's stuck right here. So now I'm going to try to pull this out and move this to the side so I can try to sneak this down and around. And then if I can do that, I can just pull the differential with the axles this way and slip it out of that side. Alright, so the differential is officially disconnected, dropped out. I gotta slide it out of the way, but man, that was a job. That was pretty difficult, I'm not gonna lie. I knew it was kind of gonna be a pain. If it popped out like it should have been, it would have been a lot easier, but it put up a good fight. I'm pretty happy to be going with the 3.8 style, or the coupe style with the removable axles, because that'll save me a lot of time and effort. If I would have been able to figure out how to separate the axles from the differential, it probably would have been a lot easier. But because I didn't have that information at the time, or at least still now, I'll figure it out for you guys. But since I didn't have the information to do it, you know, it put up a lot bigger of a fight. Also, this is a lot larger of a differential, not super large compared to the 3.8, the coupe one. It is definitely larger though, so it does weigh more. And that being said, it is a little bit more of a bear to get out. But it is out, that's what matters. And I didn't really have to touch anything on this side other than pulling the axle out. The 3 arms on the other side are minor. I'm going to look up the torque spec and torque them back down to spec. And then I should be able to just slide the new axles into the hubs from the inside before putting the differential in. And then the axles actually be hanging down. I can like align them and slide them into the differential as the differential is going back up, and then bolt the diff back in. But that's going to be a different video for another day. If you guys enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe if you like the different form that I'm doing versus like a traditional how-to. You know, leave a comment below if you have any like, you know, advice or constructive criticism. Willing to take it. I mean, it is a little bit different than a how-to guide for sure. How-to guides are still going to be coming out if you guys are interested in watching those, if you want to do this yourself. But appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoy it, leave a like, and I'll see you guys next time.